There is, of course, the strategy for Takuya of go around the Hoopa, but he only is playing 2 copies of Guzma, so you can only get so many knockouts that way.
And Kevin could just not play Pokemon.
Yeah, he could just play Hoopa or multiple Hoopa.
Yep.
There's really no point in benching anything else. He's only playing 1 GX Pokemon in the Pheromosa and Buzzwole GX. That's the only multiple prize Pokemon that Takuya could try to target down. So at the very least, he's going to need to take 5 knockouts this game to win.
Yeah. Or he's hopefully just, for his sake, maybe he just never sees a Hoopa and he can just attack through everything else.
If 4 Hoopas are prized every game, that's a win.
That's one way to do it, yeah. So counter energy and beast energy are the only ways that Kevin can get attacks off. So he'd have to go down in prize cards, and then he could start using his Hoopa. But do you even need prize cards in a matchup like this? You might just want to just sit there and watch.
Look, this isn't a matchup where you win. This is a matchup where your opponent loses.
They lose, yep. That's one of the favorite ways to win. Prizing Gladion, not good.
Got to have that Gladion to be able to search through your prize cards, make sure you have access to everything in your deck. And we are off to the races. Game number 1 going to begin here between Takuya Yoneda and Kevin Tran.
And look at that. We already have Kevin starting with that Hoopa in the active spot. Or is that a Kyurem? I can't see. Looks like
a Hoopa.
All right, cool. So yeah, Hoopa is going to start, and that's exactly where he wants to be the entire match. If he can just hang out there, Takuya's going to have a hard time figuring out how to knock this thing out.
Hoopa, make yourself at home. Grab a beverage. Pull up a chair. You're going to be here for a while.
It's a nice view in the active spot.
I can see all the Pokemon from here. And none of them can hurt me.
This is my kingdom. Going with that Regigigas. It's got a lot of hit points. Don't know why maybe you just don't want to throw down all of your Hoopa just yet. You also don't know if Takuya has some of those non-Pokemon GX cards to get knockouts, so it's always good to have that Pokemon there.
That's true. We have full information in the form of deck lists, but the players do not.
Yep.
So, Kevin, all he knows right now is that there's Zoro is on the board.
Yep. We see that Pokegear going to come down into play. Gives Kevin a lot of different cards to check out. His hand's kind of at a weird spot, so looks like he's going to take that Team Skull Grunt. He's also got Drawl in the form of Tate and Liza for later, but it's going to take a look at the hand. It looks like that double colorless is not long for this world.
Going into a matchup like this, from Takuya's perspective, certainly he doesn't know entirely what he's in for just yet, but as this game develops, he will start to realize exactly what he's up against and the fact that his matchup is just very, very poor.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that? Is this just the kind of thing that you have to sort of write off and say, this is not representative of the field that I'm going to be playing against?
Well, I feel like he knows that this is definitely an option. You can run into a deck like this, so choosing to forego cards that can help you in this matchup can always be pretty rough for you. You might not have an idea of what to do in this matchup, but you're going to be playing for 50 minutes. You might as well put everything you have towards trying to find an option.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got something in there that can help him out. Maybe he's got a plan with Type Null, and he can get some attacks off that help him out.
It's definitely not impossible. Kevin only has so much energy in the deck. If he can't counterattack, then, it might take a while, but Takuya can take knockouts.
Right, and Kevin's deck doesn't play a lot of draw support. He's trying to recycle the same supporter cards over and over again. So if you can get Kevin stuck with a weird hand, maybe using a Judge on the right turn, you can get him stuck with a bunch of weird cards, and maybe he just doesn't have a way to bring multiple Hoopas into play. So it does look like he's going to go for that Tate and Liza. It's going to it either can provide that switching effect or you can get the 5 cards. So looking for anything, but he just wants to get more supporters so that maybe he can get a Lusamine chain rolling.
Takuya taking a quick read on that Regigigas.
He said, oh, you attached to it. Do I have to worry about something? But I think he's just trying to get that energy out of his deck. Not here to attack today. So we do see multiple Hoopa now, and Kevin is going to wave his hand in such a manner maybe 50 times. We're going to see him do that a lot.
So Regigigas, its ability Seal of Antiquity says this Pokemon can't attack unless Regirock, Regice, and Registeel are on your bench.
Do you think he has those in his deck?
No, I sure don't.
Yeah.
So for the people at home who might not understand, why is he playing this card?
Hit points. Hit points are really good.
Okay.
He can survive a lot of hits, and playing against cards like Zapdos, having 180 hit points is definitely going to help you out. You can absorb a lot of shots, and you're never going to Giant Stomp. just don't even worry about it.
But it does 160 damage.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
No, he does not even play 5 energy in the deck. It's just there to be a body to soak up some hits.
Yep. Kevin did find his Steven's Resolve. That's a fantastic card for him. He's going to be able to get 3 cards into his hand. It immediately ends his turn, but he was going to wave his hand anyway, so who cares? Just grab 3 good cards for yourself and maybe another Steven's Resolve. You can just keep doing this, get everything that you want.
This deck is so dramatically different from every other deck that I'm used to seeing.
There's so many players that are using every ounce, every percent of their brain trying to get every perfect play, and Kevin's just like, pass.
I mean, I think it's really cool that Pokemon has this many very different strategies.
Right.
Because, coming into it several years ago, this is not a deck that I thought could possibly exist. This is not a strategy I thought you could play to, because usually the strategy is take 6 prize cards, win the game.
Yeah.
So this is just very different.
Yep. Of course, there's 3 ways that you can win a game. Your opponent goes to draw a card, and there are no cards left in their deck. You can either bench your opponent so they have no Pokemon left in play, or you can take all of your prize cards. And Kevin has probably never taken all of his prize cards with this deck. We see Takuya is going to continue with this strategy of draw pass, because there's no pressure being put on him. If his opponent wants to keep using cards, that's fine. He's just not going to play any cards himself, and maybe his opponent just runs out of things to do, and he can run out of deck first.
Team Skull Grunts from Kevin, but there's no energy in hand for Takuya and Yoneda, so that's not going to hit anything.
Takuya's just going to keep looking at his card and go, all right, your turn.
Well, you know what? At least they're making decisions quickly. We do have a clock to play under, but this is very likely the kind of match that Kevin Tran wins game number 1, and then
do you think we ever see game 3 here? I feel like it's never going to get to a point like that.
I mean, if we got to game 3, that would mean that Takuya would have to win a game.
Yep.
And, hey, I'm all for it.
So Kevin's looking through his deck, and he sees Max Potion. He's like, do I need this? Because it's not like Takuya's attacking me.
I was like, maybe I need this 20 turns from now.
Yep.
He's going to take one.
Why not? Can't hurt.
Oh, a whole host of trainer cards in this deck. 4 Acrobike, 4 Pokegear, 4 Steven's Resolve, 3 Counter Gain, 2 Counter Catcher, 2 Faba. What does Faba even do?
You can get rid of a tool card.
Fantastic.
So that can help. It's pretty much just my opponent likes to play cards. I'm going to play everything that gets rid of their cards. And hopefully they don't have any more of those cards, and then I win.
Yeah, this is somewhat like Zoroark Control from last year, except minus the Zoroark.
Yeah, this is more like Whale Lord.
Yeah.
Just sit there, be a big boy, and use a lot of supporter cards, and your opponent just runs out of juice. This Lusamine engine is going to continue to be played. Of course, you use that Lusamine, and then you just grab another Lusamine along with the supporter that you like, and you can keep using the Lusamine every turn of the game if you like. I can just sense the frustration from Takuya. He's like, dude.
Nothing's happening, but you know that you're losing.
Right.
And that feels really, really bad.
It's like, let me see your discard pile. Whatever. It's not even worth it.
I mean, Kevin can remove all energy from Takuya's hand by continuously with that Lusamine grabbing Team Skullgrunts.
Yeah.
He can keep grabbing Steven's Resolve. It's a long, slow walk to defeat.
Yep. And as soon
But
as
we're
your
walking.
opponent flips over Hoopa, you kind of know where that road goes.
Goes to 2-1.
Oof.
Energy attached to the Sylvally, or to the Type Null, excuse me.
Yep. So he does have some options for attacking. Curious to see that he decided to go on this with a turn that's not combined with Judge. Maybe he's going to use that in combination later. But if your opponent can remove that energy from play, you're kind of right back where you were.
There's 2 Judge in the deck. 9 energy. We've got 4 triple acceleration, 2 double colorless, 2 grass, and 1 beast.
Yeah. Triple acceleration energy, of course, is the reprint of that boost energy that was so big back years and years ago. Getting 3 colorless energy back. For that one turn, you get one really nice attack off, and then poof, it's gone. And you hope that it did what it needed to do. And wow, look at this. Kevin's actually going to go on the offensive here and use his Buzzwole and Pheromosa GX Pokemon.
This is a new inclusion from Unbroken Bonds, not one that we've been seeing pop up really anywhere else.
Yep. He's got that beast energy, so that provides any energy effect right now for him. So going to use that grass energy, and he can take the knockout here on a Zorua. And he's going to put 30 damage onto the other Zorua.
It's just got that jet punch attack that Buzzwole GX had, although now it is attacking for grass energy.
Yep. Gets a little extra damage from that beast energy's other effect, that plus 30. And look at this, Takuya decided, all right, I got to do something here. I'm going to start drawing cards. Maybe I can find a way to attack, get some relevant damage in play. This is the first turn that a Hoopa is not active, so if he wants to get some damage onto the board, looks like Pheromosa and Buzzwole GX is definitely a Pokemon that you can see, put some of this damage into.
It is again, very tanky Pokemon, 216 hit points, or 260. 16 would be an odd number.
Yeah, the moment that you get to 210, you'd feel pretty weird. Getting that extra 6 is rough. Of course, Kevin does feel pretty confident playing down this Pokemon that it's not going to get knocked out in one hit, and he plays cards like Acerola, so he would be able to just pick it back up once it takes any damage. And you know Kevin's not going to put himself in a situation like this unless he has a 15-card hand of everything he's ever wanted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. He can afford to give up a couple prize cards because it will never matter.
Yep. As long as he doesn't overbench and find himself in a weird spot, Hoopa can always just find his way back up to the active. And, I mean, we're going to see GX Pokemon from Takuya for the majority of the game.
We see him benching his own Pheromosa and Buzzwole GX. That would be the reason why he's running 2 copies of Grass Energy as his basics.
Yep.
His other Pokemon attack for colorless, so it doesn't matter what you're running.
And look at that. It's time for a Judge.
Judge both hands down to 4. Get rid of a lot of the work that Kevin has been doing so far this game and maybe force him to have a couple turns of not doing too much.
Yeah. This is kind of where you have to hope that Kevin has used too many resources. Maybe he didn't Lusamine chain at the right time and get multiple Steven's Resolve back into his hand.
I mean, this does absolutely seem to be a deck that takes a lot of practice to be able to pilot correctly.
Yes.
You have to know which supporters you need at the right time, when to use them. That's a lot.
Yeah. So here comes that Jet Punch, of course. Going to put the damage onto the Regigigas. Those Hoopas are not going to take any damage soon. And
with the
oh, there we go. Okay, so he did find the Stevens Resolve there. He also had an option for Cynthia, but I mean, I think you just take the guarantee at this point. You're not concerned about putting the damage into play. You want to find the cards that are going to get you out of this situation. So something like Acerola, maybe another supporter card like another Stevens Resolve. Elusamine could help you get that chain rolling again. So we'll see what he decides to go with. Doesn't seem too concerned with getting knocked out currently. Got a lot of hit points. Lieutenant Surge is a great way to combine multiple cards too, so that's a great card to add into his hand there as well.
Yeah, Takuya's got the Beast Energy and the Choice Band on Pheromosa Buzzwole, so it was a 90 damage Jet Punch, but even still, that's going to take 3 attacks to be able to knock out Kevin's Pheromosa Buzzwole.
Yep. So now it's over to Takuya. He has to continue to get some sort of damage into play here. Just what does he attack with afterwards?
Ain't that the question every single turn?
Counter gains and counter energies. If I take too many prize cards, he can just attack with these Hoopas. I don't have an answer to that.
Takuya is trying to put a winning strategy together.
He's got Professor Kukui, so he can get more damage in play.
That's plus 20. That's not nothing.
Yeah, maths are occurring.
The numbers are being added.
Yeah, this can definitely be a tricky spot. I feel like Kevin's hand is where he needed it to go to. The judge was the perfect play from Takuya, but if Kevin's able to find what he needs, he kind of just gets that hand right back to where he wanted it. So he's looking through. Looks like he found that triple acceleration energy.
Going to bring up Silvally.
And he's going to use his GX attack there for the knockout. It's 50 damage for every Pokemon on your opponent's bench, and then he had the plus 20 from Professor Kukui, so able to get that exact 260 that he needed from Rebel. But now what?
He's taken 3 prizes. That's, halfway to the finish line, but where do the other 3 prizes come from? There are 3 Pokemon left. 2 of them cannot be attacked by any of his GX Pokemon.
Yep, so Fabo was able to remove that Beast Energy from play. And now Kevin's where he wants to be. He's all of his cards that give him extra effects from being down in prize cards are now in play. So if he ever needs to use counter catchers, counter energies, counter gains, counters, he's got it. But
we can counter the counter. We can counter the counter's counter.
But does he even need to? There's a type null. It's the only thing that maybe Zorua can hop in there for 20, but
get him repeatedly.
Do your job, young man.
You've been trained. Pull a Pikachu. Being evolved is useless.
Yeah, who needs it?
Actually, just worse this game.
Tord's over there just shaking his head. Zoroark's clearly the better Pokemon, but no, it's Zorua's turn to shine.
Zoroark would be nothing without Zorua.
It's true.
You got to remember where you came from, Kyle.
Yeah.
Don't get jaded. Don't let fame get to your head. Zoroark, maybe he's had a little bit too much time in the spotlight.
That's true. Zorua was there for every trophy, too.
Absolutely.
So that Stevens Resolve comes into play once more. He's going to put every card that he could ever want into that hand again. Looks like he's going with Plumeria, so he can maybe finally remove this grass energy from play that it's kind of haunted him. It's been around for a while, and provides some attacking options for Takuya.
Options are good. We like options. His bench is full. His GX Pokemon cannot deal damage to this Hoopa. He looks pretty deep in the tank.
Yep. So Kevin wants to first remove all of the energies from Takuya's hand. There are none there. So he's all right. That was fun. Next turn, I guess I'll use the Plumeria and get rid of this energy and play, and then I know you have no energies.
It's all about information with this deck.
Yep. And from Takuya's spot, I honestly don't think a concession is the right play at this point. You have to hope to win this game. I feel like this is the best situation that you can get yourself into. You've already taken 3 prize cards, and you kind of just have to hope that Kevin makes a mistake. He certainly can. There's a lot of supporter cards that you play in the same turn. You could missequence that and then have prize penalties happen. So you kind of just let Kevin keep doing what he's doing and hope that he makes an error.
Yeah, hope that human error is the way out of this. I mean, we're already 20 minutes into the round. This is pretty certainly the only game that is going to reach completion.
Yeah. So we do see that fighting memory. It's going to come into play. Looks like he does have a knockout on his Regigigas, so he's going to take another prize card, but here are the Hoopas.
Takuya down to just 2 prizes. If Kevin never plays another Pokemon that can be knocked out, Takuya will have to resort to drastic basic
Zorua
measures.
tickles. Yeah. 6 tickles and you're done.
12 tickles and the game is Takuya's.
Maybe Kevin just forgets what Max Potion does, or Acerola.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, there's only one Acerola and a whole lot of ways to search it out.
So Kevin is going to bring up that Zoroark in the active spot. It's one of the least intimidating Pokemon there is right now, just because it won't be able to attack into this Hoopa. It's got a pretty decent-sized retreat cost, so if Takuya ever finds energies, he doesn't actually want to use them to retreat. He needs to find relevant attacks from them.
And the more that Takuya trades with Zoroark, the closer he gets to decking out.
Yep.
So you're not going to want to do that. Counter catcher.
Good cards. So Takuya's in a weird spot. I feel like the only time that he's going to feel comfortable attacking again is in combination with a Judge. He'd have to use Judge and Zorua or Type Null as his attacker, get that damage into play, and then just hope that Kevin misses for 4 turns for 1 knockout and 8 turns for another with the Type Null going into attacking. Or, I mean, a lot has to happen. And Kevin can just fill his deck with all of the good supporters to top deck. Eyeing up that Plumeria possibly. Well, it's Takuya's turn, so can't do that just yet. But Takuya's going to count how many cards are left in his deck. This is another way that he could win the game.
I mean, Kevin has been drawing quite a bit, having to find the right supporters at the right time.
Of course, Kevin has the out. He plays that Cynthia, so he could just bring that Cynthia back into his hand and then shuffle until he has 6. So when you keep a 30-card hand, shuffling into 6 is going to make your deck really big.
It's not playing Resource Management or Guru, so there is no ability to shuffle cards from the discard back into the deck. But he does have, with that Cynthia, the ability to sustain for a while.
Yeah, and he's got enough supporter cards to keep his deck pretty full.
Looks like we might be rocking a 15-card hand right now.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Just pick up your deck, play with that.
What'd you grab? Lucamine and Guzma? Great.
Cool, cool. Put 2 in any combination of supporter and stadium cards from your discard pile into your hand. If you have a Lucamine in the discard, you can pick up a Lucamine and another supporter and then just chain them as much as you want to be able to retrieve those supporter cards.
I mean, you could just see Takuya trying to figure it out. Is there any possible way that he can win this game?
My first thought is there always has to be a way.
Right.
But my next thought is, no, there doesn't. Why's that?
What a fool.
I mean, it is minuscule chances for Kevin to not have what he needs. For Takuya to be able to attack like 8 times in a row.
I mean, if Kevin removes every energy from play, there is no possible way that Takuya can win this match.
Right now there's 2 grass energy in play, but one of them is irrelevant because it's on the Silvally.
Yep. And Kevin does have that Plumeria lined up at the top of his hand, so he's certainly eyeing that up as his supporter for the turn, maybe in combination with a Lieutenant Surge, but he knows that he needs to remove that energy. He's got his hand at a comfortable spot to where he's not too concerned about it, but looks, he's just going to pass. He even wants to see Takuya commit to the type null, I guess, before even worrying about that energy card. Lusamine for double Lusamine.
Send it right back over. I think he's got him locked.
Yeah. I mean, we're at the point where human error is how you get there. I don't see another way. It's tough.
Takuya's hand is just full of nothing impactful, and Kevin's hand is bigger than his deck right now.
Right.
He has everything that he could possibly want.
So it looks like that Acerola is going to pick up the Zoroark.
Move Buzzwole Pheromosa into the active.
And he's just going to hang out there.
Just chill. I suppose there is a possibility that, what is it, the single copy of Cynthia is...
We saw it hit the discard
Oh, no,
pile.
there's 3 Cynthias.
Okay,
What am I
so
talking about?
He's got a plan.
Nah, he fine.
Okay, so here's the turn then. So the Judge comes into play. The energy is onto the type null, and Takuya needs to lock out Kevin's hand, which is not up to him at all. Kevin just needs to not have any good supporter in his top 9 cards or so to at least get through one of these Pokemon.
And with that Judge, we're back at the point where both players have lots of cards remaining in their decks, so they're not worried about decking out. There's a Lusamine, it looks like, for Kevin.
So I see Acrobike as well, Pokegear, so he could definitely find the right cards here. But Type Null has found his spot.
This is the very small window.
And just has to hope to get there. It's 70 damage from the Type Null. So he is within range to get 2 hit knockouts from this point forward.
Acrobike, Pokegear. I mean, this has been about as well played by Takuya as you can expect this matchup to go. He has found the opening. He's given himself the best possible chance to win.
Looks like he's going to take the Lusamine here. So this Hoopa could definitely be knocked out. But how do you get through another?
I mean, it needs to be another 3 attacks from Takuya with Kevin unable to remove any of the energy.
Right.
But he does have Steven's Resolve in hand. He has Lusamine in hand. He's going to be able to select cards.
And, of course, he has that Faba as well, so he can remove that special energy card. But, wow, I mean, for Takuya, it's pretty impressive that he got himself into this situation
This is much closer than we were
5
expecting.
prize cards that he will have taken after this turn.
And he will have actually knocked out one of the Hoopa.
Yeah. The only problem now is he doesn't have enough judge to hope to get Kevin locked out of the game again.
I don't think so.
I believe it's the only the 2, and I don't think he has a way to get them back. So this is the situation. you have that big Hoopa, and Takuya's going to try to find a way to knock it out, but it's so tricky.
All right, there's going to be that Faba to knock off the double colorless energy from the type null. Takuya is only playing 2 copies of type null. But at this point, it's just energy that is his limiting factor.
Yeah, so Takuya can find another double colorless energy and get 70 damage on. And I feel like Kevin kind of made an error.
Yeah.
Because he needed to use Steven's Resolve and find max potions, because he needs to find a way to heal and use a supporter effect in the same turn if the double colorless energies were to come into play. But that's not an option anymore now. The Guzma is going to buy one more turn, and then if Kevin's able to search through his deck with a Stevens where he's not in range of being knocked out, he's just going to find those max potions and he'll be set.
Takuya just went ahead and passed back over. Kevin is going to play the Stevens Resolve. A little bit fortunate that he was not punished. If Takuya had another double colorless energy and could have kept up the pressure, Kevin might not have had a free turn to go for Steven's Resolve, and then would have been looking for that max potion on the draw.
Right. Finds another Steven's Resolve. So attacking seems incorrect here. You don't want to open up Acerolas for your opponent to get out of the active spot for free using that effect. So it looks like Kevin is going to just take some cards and pass over the turn, but he has all the cards to attack if he wanted to.
I believe Takuya already used his Acerola.
Yep, is it just the one?
It is just the one.
Okay.
So I suppose no reason not to attack, but probably also no reason to attack.
Yeah, and it's wild how one card honestly can flip this matchup, because if Takuya has resource management or Unguru, he can just shuffle those cards back into his deck, set up situations with that judge over and over again.
Yeah.
And he could take these prizes, but just did not add that card in. Didn't think that it was worth an inclusion, and that's one of the tough things when you have 60 card slots. You have to make sure that every single one of them is impactful, and he didn't think that was 61st card. It might have been right on the edge, and said, maybe I'll just avoid the Hoopas. But he found one.
He's managed to get all the way down to 1 prize with no resource management or Unguru. No Kartana GX.
That'd have been spicy.
That'd have been real spicy. And we go back.
The hand passing seems to get more aggressive as the game continues.
I can understand from Takuya.
Yeah.
Go.
Just counting those energy cards in the discard pile. It looked like we saw 3 special energies in the discard. And Takuya knows every card in his list inside and out. He's going to make sure that this last prize card opportunity is available for him in any possible way. Just don't know if he's got it there for himself. He's going to ask how many cards are in Kevin's hand. That's not what you want to see.
18 cards, 19 cards.
Has to just pass over.
And Kevin has just been playing Lusamine turn after turn. There's the Team Skull Grunts.
And that's a big one, too.
Both triple acceleration energy in hand are going to go to the discard.
Yep, I believe that means that Takuya has one more energy in his deck. Does he have 8 or 9 in there? I think it's 9 energies, so maybe he has 2.
9.
Okay, so he's got 2 energies left.
Both grass are on the field. Beast was played earlier.
He said, hey, did you draw it this turn?
Are you going to draw it next turn? How about the turn after that?
See. Did you draw it? He's like, all right. Waste the turn. That's fine. So very wise of Kevin here. Has not been attacking. Doesn't need to attack. Don't want to give your opponent that opportunity. Maybe if they did play the second Acerola, he doesn't have all that information. So.
Yep, he doesn't know.
And as I say it, here we go. So maybe he's got the strong read. The Acerola is no longer.
He just has a really good feeling.
Okay, so he's going to use the counter catcher here. He's going to try to knock out the only Pokemon that's a threat. Seems fine.
He's going to go on the offensive, knowing that Type Null needs to take at least 2 attacks to get the knockout here. And if Takuya does attach energy, Kevin very likely just has the Faba to make it go away.
Yep. We also see that in Kevin's hand, he has Acerola plus Rescue Stretcher. So if he wanted to have a new Hoopa come into play, if Takuya were to find an energy, he could do that as well. Just play down this Hoopa with the counter gain, counter energy, and take the knockout on the Type Null. So Kevin's put himself in a perfect spot once more. So the Field Blower comes into play. It's going to remove the Stadium card along with the counter gain.
"13 minutes on the clock. This is going to be the only game we see.
Safe to say.
So the winner of this game will win the match.
So Mal is going to put 2 cards onto the top of his deck. He, of course, has trade, so he could see these cards immediately if he thinks he needs to. He's going to retreat that Type Null.
Maybe Takuya is still holding on to hope that Kevin decks out before he does. It looks like Kevin's deck is getting pretty thin.
Yeah. I mean, if Kevin has to use a Cynthia and gives himself 6 cards that are unplayable, then we could see once more that window open for Takuya.
And it's possible that that's why Kevin went on the offensive, because he knows if he can knock out this Type Null, there is just no way for Takuya to take that final prize card, and then even if he has to go down to 6 cards in hand, he doesn't have to worry.
All right, 99 or 100, which one would you rather have?
That 1% does happen 1% of the time.
And when it happens on stream, it's even harder to live down.
Oof.
So no Guzma play from Kevin's turn. Might not have the counter gain available to take the knockout on the Type Null. I think he just needs to go back to his strategy of, well, maybe you drew the energy this turn. Who knows? Well, so he's got the Guzma. He doesn't want to take the knockout now, though.
Interesting.
He's going to bring up that Zoroark and hope to lock it in the active spot once more.
That is inconsistent with the strategy that he's been taking.
Right.
Gonna go for Team Skull Grunt, see if that final energy is there.
And, nope.
It's not there. Pass right back over.
And how many cards are left? Like, looks like 2
2
more left. Does Takuya
Maybe
have any
2
shuffle
for
effects?
Kevin as well.
He played 2 Judge already.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything else.
Yep. Oh, look, he's got Pow Pad.
Oh, he does have 1 copy of Cynthia.
So the Pow Pads are going to give him the Judges. So this is, he chose
Oh,
Pow Pad
that
over
makes a change.
the Oranguru as his way to get himself back into situations.
Interesting. I mean, his deck is so thin right now that he's going to find those Judges very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's going to put us, again, back to a position where the decks are quite full and we're not worried about decking out. But it's also going to put Kevin in a position where he doesn't have access to all of his resources. And now Kevin might be regretting not knocking out that Type Null.
Yeah, if he takes care of this Type Null, I don't see a way that Takuya has an attack.
The only attackers Takuya has left after that are Zoroark.
Which aren't going to be very strong.
No.
Especially because you have 1 energy to attack with.
Could Kevin have...
Oh, look.
Okay.
So he's
going to go for it.
Yep, he's got the Surge, so he's able to use multiple supporters, get that Guzma.
If he did not have that turn, though, that Type Null could have potentially locked him out of this game.
Yep. And Takuya looked through, sees at least 6 or 7 cards left in Kevin's deck. Takuya, of course, sitting with 3 cards now after that Pow Pad shuffle into both of those Judges.
Pass back. Lusamine for, looks like Guzma and Lusamine.
Yep, so he is prepared for if another Type Null were to join the field.
He doesn't know that there's only 2 in the deck.
Right.
And Takuya is going to do what? 4 cards left for Kevin?
he doesn't even have to look at his deck when he uses Tapu Lele because he knows they're both Judges. And
Right, there's the Judge.
Judge is the play here. Well, this will be the first time that we go to time on stream.
Our matches today have been pretty quick.
So for all the fans out there who wanted to see a full game, here you go.
If you're wondering what's holding up the rounds, here you go. Guzma up that Zoroark, just try to lock it in the active.
Yep. And it does look like Kevin found the perfect cards. He has a Steven's Resolve, a Lusamine in hands. He's got the Max Potion just in case.
He's just going to be able to deal 90 damage every turn.
He could take 6
He
prizes.
just takes 6 prizes.
I joked that he couldn't take 6 prizes in a game, or that he probably has never won that way, but
You underestimate Super Cybolt.
he could do whatever he wants. Of course, he would have to work it out to where he just knocks out a GX and there isn't a 1 prize left because you have to be losing, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Takuya's looking through every possible road, any scenario that he could take this. Gonna go ahead and use trade.
His hand's not cutting it. He needs to find something.
Hey, there's a Pokemon that can attack.
Hey,
Maybe your opponent doesn't have Guzma.
get him. Though we've seen Lusamine after Lusamine after Lusamine. He knows there's one in hand that can pull up the Guzma again.
You have 1 turn, my friend, to find that Judge.
There is the one in the deck still.
Can, of course, go trading and try to find it.
Oh, is it in hand? Yeah, it's in hand.
Okay, so got that possibility for himself there. So now Takuya's kind of wondering, do I need my Zoroark to get knocked out in order for me to find a retreat? How do I work this? Do I use a max potion now and save some turns? Gets one card out of his deck, so maybe he could find his energy card to start attacking with his Zorua later.
Yeah.
There's so many little odds that he's trying to work in his head right now.
But there's just no way that he forces Kevin to take the one prize knockout on the Zorua because he has access to Guzma's. He's not going to put him in a position where they're both at one prize and then Kevin can't attack again.
Yeah. And Kevin feels content just doing 80. He doesn't want to use that Guzma on the Zorua yet.
You know, there's something that we haven't considered. What if nobody wins?
Yeah. So that's also a reason why Kevin has to go on the offensive. He's like, oh, we've been playing for a while.
And the decks are still too full. It's not looking like decking out is going to be a reality, especially since he saw 2 additional judges put into the deck from Takuya. So there's going to be 2 prizes.
And it is smart of Kevin to not take that Zorua knockout, because if he wants to keep attacking, he has to stay on that even prize count, that 2-1, and he needs to find a GX knockout for himself here. So Takuya says, okay, you can have my Zorua.
And Kevin says, eh.
And Kevin's going to go, no, I want anyone else now.
Not a fan.
So
much like toward Reklev, Kevin prefers Zoroark here.
Yep.
All right, there's the 4th judge of the game.
So Takuya is going for the tie with this very slight out to win, where if he finds double colorless energy, he could just keep attacking. But as soon as Kevin decides to knock out the Zorua, it would be over. They would both just lose.
Mm-hmm. Pokegear, Cynthia. Another Cynthia off the Pokegear.
Yep. Uses the Cynthia, so he's going to try to find that Guzma. He should not be using an attack here.
If he attacks and knocks out the Zorua, essentially he's committing to the tie.
Yes. He does not have a Dark Energy to continue attacking.
But he's thinking he doesn't have to go for that just yet. At least not until we get into the extra turns of the game.
Yep.
Once time is called.
Steven's resolve should be finding Guzma here, along with Lusamines, to continue to have Guzmas over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do this very fast because he knows he's running out of time. He's got, looks like a little over 3 minutes, along with plus turns, to get this figured out.
3.5 minutes and 3 additional turns total, starting with turn 0.
Yep.
He's going to Guzma up the Silvally. And Takuya is going to give it over. Kevin Tran, in an almost 50-minute game, is going to take it.
Yep.
And Takuya played that absolutely masterfully. He gave himself the best possible opportunities to win a game that looked like it was impossible to win.
Yeah. We didn't see that Pal Pad in his deck list until the very end when it came into play, and as soon as we saw that, it's like, oh,
that changes
he
things.
has outs. He could definitely get this judge lined up. He just needed Kevin to miss on a few turns, and Kevin continued to find it. Both players just gonna say, do you even want to play the second game? And he's like, no, there's no way.
Just call it.
So.
Yeah. What a game.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything quite like that, I think, ever in my Pokemon casting career, which admittedly is much shorter than you or any of the other guys have been behind this desk.
Yeah.
But it's really kind of cool for me to be able to discover these new things.
Right.
And to see these new matchups that I was not expecting to see anything that looked quite like that. I knew what Zoroark Silvally was going to bring to the table, but Kevin Tran and his Regigigas stall deck, which he's now 3-0 with, performing incredibly well, and